ACO FUNKI itself is almost 90 years old, acquired in 2004 by ACO. Originally, FUNKI was doing incubators for poultry, later on diversified into swine equipment, and today only focusing on swine equipment. When ACO took over, they developed the company, and today we are like one of the leading European manufacturers and suppliers of swine equipment. We have the full range in pen equipment, all housing, but also animal welfare equipment for pigs, which is becoming, of course, legal in Europe, but also becoming more and more popular in Asia. We see many in China who already starts doing loose sows and loose lactating sows. Also coming in a request for that in Philippines. The full range in feeding systems, the dry feeding, all from what we call simple dry feeding, but also precise feeding, where we can go and feed more optimal to each individual pig, to lower the feed use, to use less for producing more. Liquid feeding also, the full range in liquid feeding. I'll come back a little bit more detail about what difference we can do with the different things. Milk feeding system, as sows are producing more and more piglets, it's also possible to use a milk feeding system to give them additional growth, make sure that sows can handle more piglets. All flooring components, different LED lights to save energy, different smart equipment for increasing productivity. New product up to scale, so you constantly are checking the weight of the pigs, so you can constantly check the growth and make sure that you can change feed on the optimal time. Everything connected in what we call multi-farm net, so all is controlled in one system, and you see we have all transportation of feed from outside the farm area into the farm by the same system. We can control the climate system, we can control light, we can actually also measure the water consumption, the scale, opti-scale for the pigs, bedding system we can control, and all the feeding system we can control in the same controller and connect and manage in the same computer, so we can overview and get output from the same computer for all the different products used in the farm. And all those things we combine to do what we call high performance full line projects, where we in Denmark do more than 40 piglets per sow per year by having the right setup. And as I also said, the Danish Pig Processing Institute, where we do the full design, farm layout, the production flow, do the drawing and the layout of how the farm should be designed, have the land from the client and make sure that it fits into the land with the right entrance and all that for the right biosecurity. ACO FUNKI, of course, don't produce everything for the farms, but first of all, we have in Denmark Danish Pig Academy, which is a gathering place of 28 different companies having a common show place. But also when we go to clients in Philippines and other places in Asia, we go as a partner with, for example, Skov for the climate system. We have Malaysian partners for the buildings. We go also with animal genetic companies, often in Philippines also with Danbred. So we come with a complete package. So we cannot give the client the full package ourselves, but we can, as a partnership with other companies, go and make the full package and give the one-stop solution for the client. Why Danish? I just put that in as well. Why is the Danish company trying to sell equipment for pigs around the world? In Denmark, we are only 5.8 million people, but we have 1 million sows, producing around 34 million pigs every year. Out of that, 90% is exported. So we know really how to make good pig farming. But as you say, Denmark is a high-cost country to produce things in. How can we produce? Well, how can we export all that amount of pigs? We have always been used to the global competition, so that has been push our farmers to be efficient, have a low production cost. We constantly have new implemented rules from the government. We have to avoid using medicine. We cannot use any kind of growth models. So it has always been pushing from legislation to become better and better, more efficient. And that is what is making us so strong in pig production today. And then we, of course, have a slaughterhouse who have a system so we can produce a lot of pigs with a high uniformity. So when a client in Japan wants to have 5 containers of the exact same amount of back fat on the meat, they can get more or less exactly the same meat quality in all 4, 5, 6 containers. So we have a really good chance of doing high uniformity, and our quality, our traceability of what has been used and what has been produced is really high as well. So our documented quality in Denmark is really high. So we have always been, not always, but for the last many years, been really good to produce high quality pigs. And then we have the Danish breed. It's, what you say, probably the best in the world, where farmers in Philippines produce maybe average 20 pigs per sow per year, where we in Denmark, the best farmers do more than 40 pigs per sow per year. So it's a huge step forward to use the Danish breed and of course the Danish package. We have the Danish Research Center in Denmark who is really efficient and is constantly testing all what we as a company, equipment company, produce. Also testing feed mixes, breeds. So everything is being tested and being pushed to be better and better all the time. And then we normally say we don't have any competition among the farmers. That's this whole thing about sharing knowledge. And I think in general we are in Denmark really good to share our knowledge. So, and the mindset is that if I give you a good input so you can become better, when you someday know something that also is good, you will sell that back. So it's like constantly sharing knowledge to lift all of us, not keeping the information by yourself, because then you don't get information back from someone. And if you don't compare you against others, if you don't share your production result, then you don't know if you're good or bad, because you don't compare against anyone. So all the way we become better and better is, of course, high animal welfare regulations. Governments constantly putting restrictions on the first to be more efficient. So ACO FUNKI in the Philippine market, for sure, as I say, Philippines produce around 20 pigs per sow per year. So there's a huge room for improvement in the farming. They have low production result and they have high production cost. They don't produce so much feed, so they have to import the feed. That's also make it more expensive, the feed compared to us in Europe. And they have a high level of uncontrolled backyard production, which is not having a high production result, and also you cannot control diseases when you have that huge amount of backyard production. And then, of course, the market is suffering from the aggressive spread of African swine fever. So that's why they are trying to recover. And I think the Philippines has lost around 500,000 sows from that disease. So they are really lacking of investment in pig farming. So what we focus on to give the clients is higher biosecurity, to make sure when you invest in a farm and you buy good pigs that you also maintain that high health status. Make sure you don't get diseases in, because diseases is what is giving really bad production result. But we also have equipment that give the client a higher production result. Equipment that you have lower feed waste, use less feed to grow one pig, and a general healthier pig, and by that have a lower medicine consumption. That's also a thing that is becoming more and more focused on, that you don't use so much medicine because it makes humans resistant to antibiotic. So we want them to invest in products that reduce labor, they reduce the contact between humans and pigs. We know the biggest risk of bringing in diseases to the farm is by humans. People moving in and go back home to other animals or other people and go back in next day. Invest in products that lower the feed use, lower the feed waste, and increase the health status by having closed houses, controlled climate system, several climate zones, so you have an optimal environment for the pigs. Have what we call all in, all out, so all pigs coming in at the same time and they leave at the same time, so you make sure that you don't mix the different stages of animals. And by that you push the disease out of the house every time. And then, of course, products that make pigs grow faster by feeding them more precise, and not by using growth promoters or any hormones that grow pigs faster. So one of the products that, say, smart breeding, normally when you inseminate a sow, you have to put a ball in front of her. You have to stimulate her by grabbing her on the side and pretend to do like the boar is doing. Instead of that, that needs a lot of skilled workers to do that properly. Instead of that, we have a stimulus, like a machine you put on the back. And it has a program to stimulate the sow. You start out with aggressive stimulation. After that, you put in the catheter in the sow, and you change program, and it makes another kind of stimulation, exactly like the stimulation as the boar would be doing if he was doing it in a normal way. And one worker can inseminate 4 or 5 sows at the same time as you would have 5 workers before. And the stimulus is doing the same job every time. You don't rely on the skill by the employees, because the machine do it correctly every time. So that first of all, you make sure that the insemination is being done correct, and you get a better stimulation. So even in Denmark, we can increase the number of live-born with around 1 live-born extra per sow. So it's one of the things that you don't rely on so many employees, and you get a better stimulation and better production. Other things, as we see in Asia, is the equipment itself. A sow gave birth to, in Denmark, 19-20 small piglets. In Philippines, maybe 10. But still, the sow have to be able to give milk to all pigs at the same time. And if you see some of the equipment that you often see in Asia, it's not designed correctly to make it easy for the small piglets to suck milk from both rows of the sow's nipples. Instead, as our design, you can see the design is much easier to make sure that all piglets easier can have access to the sow, and she can easier lie down and give a good milk production for the piglets. Many other things, as you see the climate zones, we have a nest where the piglets can go and hide like a cave, like from the nature. So we can have a lower temperature for the sow and a higher temperature for the piglets. And that's important because the small piglets, in the beginning, they want to have 28, 30 degrees. And the sow, she's huge. She's just been pregnant and she's producing a lot of milk. So she have a high heat production. She will be comfort with 18 degrees. It's not so easy in a closed house in Philippines, but at least can you go down on 24 degrees, and the pigs is 30 degrees. So having two different climate zones is necessary to have a good production for the sow. If she's too warm, she get heat stress, stop eating, and when she stops eating, she don't produce good milk, and then everything will be disaster for the production. As I said, milk feeding system also is a thing we use more and more. So when the sow gets so many live-born piglets, it's difficult for her to give good milk production to all piglets. So adding extra milk increase that the sow can handle 1 to 2 pigs more in the pen, and they will be growing faster and having a higher weaning weight. So they will get a much better start and grow faster and use less feed to grow. Feeding systems, from what we see often, is simple feeding system. We just transport one mix into the house, but it's becoming more and more popular to look at each pig or each pen to feed more individually. For the growing pigs, where they go in pens of 20, 30 in each pen, before you will have all 500 pigs fed by the same recipe. But with multi-phase feeding on pen level, you can transport small portions of feed into each individual hopper. So each pen here will be fed with, if they are smaller than the others, a higher energy level. And then those who are above average, you can feed with a little bit lower energy level. So you take the energy from the bigger pigs and give to the smaller pigs. So when the period is over, you will have more uniformity, high uniformity among the pigs. And you will also make sure you don't use too much energy, because if you put too much protein into the feed and the pig cannot handle it, it will just be coming out as waste in the back, and that will be waste of protein and a higher emission. So feeding more precise also give a lower emission to the environment. And for example, for sows going from gestation into the farrowing, where they give birth, in the beginning, before they give birth, they don't need this high energy. But if you only have one possibility to do one mix in the farrowing house, then you will 1 week or 2 weeks before go to a high energy level, which they don't need So having two different feed types in the farrowing also reduce the waste of expensive feed, and also waste of energy and protein. Doing liquid feeding, that's also one thing we recommend out for finisher pigs, growing slaughter pigs. The trial made by the Danish Research Center shows that by using liquid feeding compared to dry feeding, you can save 13.6 kilo of feed. And if you normally would be using 200 kilo feed to grow the slaughter pig, you can save around 5-6 euro per pig. And just quickly say 1,000 sows producing 30,000 finisher pigs per year. That's around 165,000 euro in saving. So we normally say buying a liquid feeding system for the finisher pigs is paid back within less than 6 months by saving feed cost. So there's several things that can be done to reduce feed use by the same growth. Also, more and more popular is individual feeding of sows. So they have an ear tag. All the sows go in a big group with 300 animals. They have an ear tag and they go into each feed station. The computer will register, okay, sow number this, she is allowed to get some more feed. And then it will dose out a small portion of feed to the sow. And by that, you can control that you get the optimal feed for each sow. You can connect either with a scale. So when the sow leaves the feed station, the scale will check what is the weight of the sow. Is it on the right track? If not, it gives you a report and you have to go and check, or it will increase the feed to the sow. Also, you can have a separation. So you don't need to go and catch the sow yourself. You can go and put it in a separation pen. So you know which one to vaccinate, or you know which one to move to the farrowing house. It will pass also the male, the boar, and if she shows an interest in the male, it will give a spray mark in the head of the sow, so you know you can go and check if she's not pregnant and so on. So we get a lot of information out by having what we call these feed stations with ear tags. Not only individual feeding, but you also get input if the sow is not pregnant anymore, and also if she don't grow correctly as she should. And then to the whole farm design. As I say, African swine fever is a huge thing in Asia. The disease has killed a lot of animals, and that's what many farmers are suffering from. So the importance is when you recover, you want to make a new farm, that you do it correctly in terms of biosecurity. So it's important to make sure that the farm location is far away from other farms. Have a distance to the main road, have a distance to slaughterhouse, and wherever you bring and move other animals, other pigs around. You have to have fence around the farm, make sure that no wild animals is coming in. And you have to control what is coming in and what is coming out. So you have whatever trucks is coming near the farm area has to be checked and washed and disinfected. You make sure which people is coming in. You have a guard controlling people coming in, and into the first point, you have to have an entrance where they wash before they go into the closed area, and they wash in and wash out. And you make sure that they don't bring any meals in, that the farm owner is controlling what feed or what food comes in for the workers, and everything is controlled and disinfected. And in the gray zone, you have the outer zone is the first barrier. You can have trucks in that area, but then you have the inner fence area, and you have no trucks moving around in that area. You have the central feed storage, so all the feed for the farm is being transported into a closed house, and from here it's being moved around to each house by a automatic system. Delivery of pigs is also in a control point, so you don't have any pigs running back into the farm. So you make sure that you push all animals out and you wash and disinfect for each truck has been collected pigs. Dead animals, of course, you also need to make sure that you move them out and don't put them outside the farm to attract wild animals. So you put them in a cool area until you can move them away from the farm. You have everything, it's a closed house, and everything is connected by a closed central walkway. So when the workers is coming in, they can move around from house to house without leaving the clean area, without going outside in the open area. So as I said earlier, the all in, all out, you push all pigs out of the farm, push it in the right flow. That also moves whatever bacteria and virus you have among the animals. So you have the outer fence line is what we call red zone, the dirty area. The inner area is what we call gray zone. It's a controlled area, but still outside in the gravel it can be dirty. And then all the housing, the central walkway is a green zone. This is what we call the clean area. You go in, you are the inside all day. You can go around inside, and everything is clean and disinfected. Yeah. So as I say, in Philippines, we work a lot with, say, farm designs, the full package with other partners to give them a way of giving a high production farm with higher production result, and by that a better return on investment compared to the conventional farms. In Philippines, it's myself and my local guy, Danny Silber, who is covering the market. And just also, some pictures from our showroom in Denmark. And also, as I say earlier, we have the Danish Pig Academy, which is a gathering place of 28 companies. And that's what also one of the things I will highlight, that is a huge benefit for ACO FUNKI, that you have a huge network. You go and have partners to catch the projects. You can do things yourself, but you do things stronger together. And also, the Danish Pig Academy is a platform where you can show yourself with more than just one company, and that's what we say, a huge benefit. Attracts people to our showroom, but also give an eye opener for people around in the world. So, thank you.